Starting a wrestling promotion is really hard. You have to invest a lot of money that there's no guarantee of getting back. And most people who run major indie companies are people who have experience within the industry, whether they be ex-writers like Court Bauer, wrestlers like Jeff Jarrett, or referees like Brett Lauderdale. But what if some wrestling YouTubers started a promotion, put loads of money into it, and just watched to see where it went? Well, today we're going to be talking about WhatCulture Pro Wrestling, and specifically the day that WhatCulture Pro Wrestling died. What's going on, guys? It's Tom, or Top 10 Wrestling, and welcome to the day WCPW died. WCPW was an awesome promotion in its time, and it really fell off quickly, so I want to pinpoint the exact day that WCPW died. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe with notifications on for loads more videos this month. And yeah, it's free, you can always unsubscribe. Majority of you aren't subscribed, so get subscribing, and let's get into the video.
Hey, this is your Olympic hero Kurt Angle, and you are watching Top 10 Wrestling. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
In 2006, the website Obsessed With Film was launched, but 4 years later renamed to the website we all know as WhatCulture. And on August 17th, 2011, the WhatCulture YouTube channel was launched, though it did not upload a video until August 2014. The channel featured content such as list videos talking about film, TV, and pop culture, and it was December 2014 that we saw the launch of WhatCulture WWE, later renamed to WhatCulture Wrestling. A wrestling YouTube channel dedicated to lists, reviews, and a channel that really paved the way for wrestling YouTube in its early days. The channel introduced regular hosts such as Adam Blampied, Adam Pacitti, King Ross, Kenny McIntosh, Susie Kennedy, Simon Miller, Jack the Jobber, Sam Driver, and more. The channel blew up very quickly, gaining immense popularity throughout their first 18 months, and would surpass the 1 million subscriber mark. WhatCulture was easily the fastest growing wrestling channel that this site has probably ever seen. They were so fast growing to the point that they decided to invest their popularity elsewhere, and it was on May 25th, 2016 that WhatCulture Wrestling officially announced WhatCulture Pro Wrestling, aka WCPW, their brand new wrestling promotion. With that, they launched WCPW Loaded, which was their weekly YouTube show, and started running sell-out events. WCPW at the start was a huge success in terms of viewership, and a free weekly show with paid pay-per-view events seemed to be a business model that was working well for them. During the first year and a half of WCPW, they attracted some huge names. Let me read off a list of just a few of them in no particular order. Kurt Angle, Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Matt Hardy, The Young Bucks, Jay Lethal, Adam Cole, Christopher Daniels, Zack Sabre Jr., EC3, Will Ospreay, Alberto Del Rio, Minoru Suzuki, John Morrison, Bully Ray, Ricochet, Matt Riddle, Bobby Fish, Keith Lee, Moose, Penta, the Viking Raiders, Tessa Blanchard, and Hiroku Takahashi, just to name a few, were some of the big indie names that WCPW booked on their shows. Mix those names in with some of the best UK talent, many of whom you see in WWE today, such as Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Kaylee Ray, Blair Davenport, and Doudrop, and you have a recipe for an amazing roster. And as well, the WhatCulture Wrestling YouTube channel personalities had prevalence on the show. Adam Pacitti and Adam Blampied both did time as WCPW GMs, and people like Jack the Jobber were involved in their own storylines, and they did great. WCPW was truly the perfect blend of YouTube and wrestling, and with WhatCulture's ever-growing popularity, WCPW just grew with it. They of course ran the Pro Wrestling World Cup, a huge tournament featuring some of the best wrestlers in the world, which sounded like a crazy idea for an indie company to be able to pull off, but boy did they ever pull it off. The Pro Wrestling World Cup was awesome, and the fact that they were capable of pulling it off just showed how well they were doing and how in the game that they were. But as the video title states, we are discussing the day WCPW died. So first up, let's talk about two key moments that played a part in its death, but ultimately weren't the main reason, which we will get to. The first thing that really damaged WCPW was of course the YouTube adpocalypse. In early 2017, a whole load of advertisers pulled out of YouTube due to controversies that had taken place on the site and not wanting to associate with them. Following this, many creators took a major blow to their incomes and YouTube had to start cracking down. Thus, they introduced demonetization, a way to make sure that dangerous and unsafe content was not being monetized. A fair enough idea in theory, but absolutely awful in execution. When demonetization first became a thing, it was broken, and content that didn't deserve to was getting demonetized, including wrestling content, and WCPW very much suffered as a result of it. WCPW, of course, at the time was doing Loaded, their weekly free show that airs on YouTube, meaning their only source of income from Loaded's broadcasts was ad revenue, and when those videos are being demonetized, they are making no money off of it. WCPW had to temporarily stop doing Loaded tapings until they were able to ensure there would be income from them, and they of course ran WCPW Fight Back, a free-to-air pay-per-view where they addressed their demonetization issue and campaigned against wrestling content being demonetized. However, I've said this before, I very much feel like with the talent they were bringing in and the volume of shows that they were doing, I believe that WCPW Loaded was not profitable regardless of YouTube monetization, because especially as they're broadcasting it, they don't just have to pay wrestlers, they have to pay camera operators, editors, production managers, etc, etc. And sure, they get gate receipts from the money and the ad revenue was probably decent, it's hard to predict if it was profitable for them with the talent that they were booking, especially because they were booking huge names. Someone like Kurt Angle isn't going to come cheap, and I just don't believe that YouTube ad revenue from a video is what's going to be able to pay him. Then of course, a big reason why WCPW fell off was the departure of Adam Blampied, Adam Pacitti, King Ross, Jack the Jobber, and Sam Driver from WhatCulture Wrestling. WCPW could easily run without these guys, don't get me wrong, they weren't in-ring talent and were more involved with the WhatCulture Wrestling channel than WCPW itself. But I think a lot of people just checked out of everything that was WhatCulture related after this took place, WCPW included. Many people just didn't want to participate or interact with anything WhatCulture related after, and it was this change that really checked me out of everything WhatCulture related. Sure, I could have kept on with WCPW, but it was the next change that was truly the final nail in the coffin for WCPW, and what I believe was the day that WCPW died. September 30th, 2017, the WCPW YouTube channel posted the following.
18 months ago, we launched a wrestling promotion in a warehouse with a leaky roof.
It was cold, it was rainy, we didn't know if anybody would come.
Since then, we've taken that same promotion all over the world.
Worked with some of the greatest names in the business's history, as well as its future.
Packed out concert halls, exhibition centres, sports arenas, and WrestleMania weekend.
We've defied skepticism, we've defied criticism, we've defied expectations, misconceptions, preconceptions.
We've defied the belief that wrestling is on the decline.
We've defied the conventions of what some people think wrestling should be.
We've defied everyone who said this wouldn't work.
British wrestling is booming, and we believe that fans deserve a promotion that brings together incredible in-ring work and compelling drama and puts it all in front of passionate audiences.
We believe in taking these shows to venues across the entire country, and we believe it should be available and accessible to everyone.
We defy those who don't.
From December 4th, WCPW is relaunching.
From December 4th, we are Defiant Wrestling.
A promotion that will help showcase Britain as pro wrestling's hottest territory.
A promotion that will help put the very best talent
in front of the world's greatest fans.
We can do this because we have the support, we have the skills, we have the belief and passion.
And we have the general manager. We are Defiant.
WCPW officially announced themselves to be rebranding as Defiant Wrestling, and if you read the comments on this video, People are really positive about this change and are looking forward to the future of the company, and overall, them changing names is not the reason the company died. It's for the fact that Defiant Wrestling was almost an entirely different company to WCPW. WCPW was a promotion that attracted top names from around the world, such as Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio, Cody Rhodes, names that would attract great viewership. However, Defiant Wrestling pretty much became an exclusively British wrestling promotion, with international stars only coming in every now and then. Let me tell you, I have no issue with it being a British wrestling promotion. I love the British wrestling scene, and at the time, I've gone back and watched Defiant Wrestling shows, and they were good. However, WCPW established itself as a promotion that attracts these big international names, names that anyone can watch and get behind, and names that people know. But after that switch to Defiant, we never really saw anyone on their star power level appear in the company again. Defiant Wrestling no longer appealed to the people who got it to where it was. It only appealed to people who follow the British wrestling scene. All the big stars are gone, the WhatCulture hosts are gone, it's an entirely different promotion. It's like if I turned around one day and decided I'm going to be top 10 MMA, and I'll be exclusively covering MMA, when I have built my following doing wrestling videos. I'm just alienating my audience. WCPW built their following with help from the huge stars they attracted and the WhatCulture hosts, and by removing those things, they completely alienated their audience. How about we take a look at the cards of the last WCPW pay-per-view compared to the first Defiant pay-per-view, and see just how drastic of a change that the switch from WCPW to Defiant was. So WCPW refused to lose the last pay-per-view under the WCPW name. We had Jay Lethal on the pre-show, Mike Bailey and David Starr, Primate against Bad Bones, BT Gunn and Jimmy Havoc, Liam Slater and Johnny Moss. So you have a lot of your British wrestling matches here. You got the Prestige and South Coast Connection, Katie Ray and B. Priestley, Marty Scurll was on the card, he was big name at the time. You got War Machine versus the Young Bucks though, which are two big international teams who were huge in Ring of Honor at the time, and they came down to the UK, and that probably got a lot of viewers for them. And then in the main event, you had Marty Scurll, Joe Hendry, and Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay, obviously, huge star in Japan. While he is British and appeals to British wrestling, a lot of your Western audience knows who Will Ospreay is and will tune in to see him. And then on #WeAreDefiant, the first ever Defiant show, you had Mike Bailey and David Starr wrestling again. You had Kaylee Ray and Vida Scott. You had Travis Banks and El Ligero. You had Marty Scurll, Joe Hendry, and Martin Kirby in the main event. And yeah, that's kind of it really. No disrespect to everyone, but compared to the last card, there's really no international names other than Vida Scott, which Vida Scott is absolutely brilliant, don't get me wrong, but she is not on the star power of Jay Lethal or the Young Bucks or War Machine. Apparently Moose was supposed to be on this card, however, even that, while Moose is a good name, again, this card is a complete downgrade from the last pay-per-view. It's such a drastic change. Hey, at least Kaylee Ray is still on both cards, because she absolutely rules, but yeah, it's just a bit of a downgrade, and I mean that as no disrespect. I mean that in the way that, you see how different it is. The last show had these international names, like the Young Bucks, War Machine, Jay Lethal, whereas this show is just a British wrestling promotion. You could see this in Progress. You could see this exact same card at a Progress show. What makes this card stand apart from other British wrestling promotions? Let's be real. In the future, I'm for sure gonna watch and review both of these shows and actually compare which ones are better in terms of quality. If you go onto the Defiant Wrestling YouTube channel and sort by most popular, you can see that the majority of all the popular videos are from the WCPW era, and while Defiant was able to retain decent monthly viewership and decent viewership on loaded episodes, it clearly wasn't enough, as on the 2nd of August 2019, Defiant Wrestling announced it was shutting its doors for good, meaning it existed for just about 3.5 years. WCPW and Defiant Wrestling were great in their time. I truly miss seeing this promotion in my subscription feed and seeing all the crazy announcements of people like Kurt Angle or Martin Kirby finally hitting the Zoidberg elbow and winning the title. So many great moments that company produced. But that's it from me. I've been Top 10 Wrestling. This has been the day WhatCulture Pro Wrestling died. I'll see you all soon. Goodbye, and keep on rolling.